now listening to Kendra After Dark.
Hey, what's up? My name is Kendra, and first I just want to thank you so much for tuning in with me tonight and welcome you to the Kendra After Dark podcast. I'm going to be talking a bunch of different types of topics. I'm a mom, so of course I'll have the motherly input and the maybe not so motherly input depending on the topics. I also am, a medical patient here in Arizona, so each episode I'm going to be going to a dispensary so that I can give you an honest review of whatever it is that I tried, where you can get it, how much it is, and, things like that. So today I am going to go ahead and be trying the Sir Newton's Original Black Cherry Craft Soda, which is 10 milligrams, and I picked it up right here at the Prime Leaf in Tucson, Arizona. It's right near Speedway and Columbus, and it happens to be somewhere I frequent, so you'll probably hear about them a lot on the show. I will go ahead and let you know this soda is something I get pretty frequently. I do suffer from chronic back pain, and so it's definitely something I know will kind of relax me ahead of time, but I'm going to go ahead and try it out, feel its full effects, and at the end of this episode I'll go ahead and let you know exactly what I think about it, a full review of the product. But in the meantime, I figured since this is the introduction episode, the best way for you to really get to know who I am or what I have to bring to the show is by letting you go ahead and listen to some others and, the questions they have to ask me. So, here you go. I hope you enjoy. And again, thanks so much. This is Kendra After Dark.
So when did you first smoke weed? Like, what was your initial experience or encounter with it?
The first time that I decided to smoke weed, the whole situation altogether sucked because I was with my cousin, and I would say we were I'm pretty sure I was in middle school already, so
Damn.
I think I was like 10, 11, or 12.
That young, huh? Is that considered young?
I don't know. That's just the first time I ever did it. So I was probably like 12. And the first time I smoked with her, the whole reason we were together or even why we were alone was because my grandpa was in the hospital. Okay. And so all of our family went to go see him, and we were old enough to be left alone back then. So I'm thinking probably like 12. So, I don't think I was 13 yet.
How'd you have access to it?
Very different ways. Just different ways. I guess friends and stuff that had it, but So I decided with my cousin, like, okay, we're going to try to smoke weed and see how it is. No, I was older than that. I was in high school.
I know?
That
makes me feel a little bit better.
Okay, you know how I know? Because I just thought about the car that we went out and smoked in, and it was mine. The first car I ever got was a Cadillac DeVille. Never drove that shit or anything.
I don't even know what that looks like.
It's a big white boat. And the guy gave it to me, was like, oh yeah, you'll be able to fix that up. So I was probably 14 or 15. Okay. Now that I think about it.
So like 8th grade freshman-ish type?
Definitely freshman, sophomore. But we went out and sat in the Cadillac, and that's what I remember. And used a can to smoke my first bowl.
You have to break it down because I don't smoke. So like a soda can,
I think it was a soda can. Just like a regular either beer can or soda can. Okay. And then just kind of bent it in half a little bit, and you put a little hole where the bend is. Okay. And then you put some weed on top of it, and you light it, and you hit it in the mouth hole part. Oh. You understand?
Yep. Does it get hot when you hold it?
No, because it's like in the middle, and your hand is still at the bottom.
Okay.
So then me and my cousin definitely both smoked, and it was funny because it took a while, and I didn't think I got high, and then all of a sudden, like in my head, everything was fucking funny. Really? It didn't matter. Inside, I was so mad at myself for laughing. I was like having a war with myself.
So
like, you should shut the fuck up.
Give me an example of something that you find.
I was just laughing. It didn't matter. Anything that was I couldn't stop laughing. I was stuck in a laugh. And while I'm stuck laughing, my cousin was stuck in, oh my God, I'm going to tell our parents.
Oh no, so she's the paranoid one.
Yeah, fucking freaking out. Oh. And I was sitting there going, you better not fucking tell our parents. I'll beat your ass, all while laughing. Like, this is the funniest shit ever. It was terrible. And it took me like 2 hours to convince her, like, okay, we shouldn't, calm down.
So
Please don't tell them.
Did that kill your high? Since you had to like kind of balance that out?
I didn't get high at all ever again until I was 20.
Okay.
Because I was like, fuck, that first time
really?
sucked.
So even though you had the good experience, you didn't get high with just
It
somebody
sucked.
else?
It wasn't a good experience. It was like totally feeling myself not being able to control me.
Okay. Like
So,
the laughing and the...
Exactly.
Okay.
And it wasn't like then I was smoking because I was in pain and trying to like, counteract some of that. Or I definitely wasn't anxious and shit then. But now when I smoke, it like mellows me out. Definitely different than then.
So when you were in high school, did you hang out with a lot of people that got high?
Yeah. I hung out with people that got high all of my life. I used to sit in a room with people that got high and never smoked until I was 20.
Okay. So why 20? What happened at 20?
I moved out on my own, and honestly what it was is I had a friend named Deanna, and Deanna got me to smoke. She used to come over all the time, and I used to smoke the hookah with her.
Okay.
And she taught me to blow O's and stuff, and she was like, Kendra, why don't you smoke? And I was like, because it made me feel stupid the first time I did it. And she was like, you should try it. It'll probably be totally different. And I was like, I don't know. But so I tried it, and I hit a bong when I smoked with her. And I definitely kind of got the same feeling of like kind of super giggly and shit the first time I got high again.
Okay.
But I was able to control it. And then I just got super hungry.
So is there a difference between a bong and pipe?
Yeah. Yeah, a bong has water in it. So that's the biggest difference, is that a bong has water in it.
Is it just easier on your lungs or what? Like what's the point?
I like a bong, but you can take a bigger hit basically out of a bong, I feel.
Okay.
And then in a pipe it's just you load it in there and you hit it kind of like a can.
Okay.
So, and the bong, all the smoke goes into the water. You pull the bowl, the smoke comes up. I don't know. It's very different experience, I guess.
So what led you to getting your medical card?
Because I have chronic back pain. I've had back issues since I was like 16. And I also have PTSD. And I was diagnosed with PTSD last year. But she said I've probably had it since I was like 12. So, I don't know, maybe something I should have been using for a while, I guess. But basically the back pain, because I can get edibles and usually totally relax myself, because otherwise I have a problem going to sleep because my back is just always hurting.
So your passion for education and pro-weed is because you feel like that would be a better solution other than pills?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then I even know a friend who has serious back problems, and she was anti-marijuana, and I was like, you should really try it. And she went and got like the pills and the CBD oil and stuff like that, and was able to get herself completely off of taking pills.
Wow.
And I used to have an issue with taking pills when I shouldn't, when I was younger.
Okay.
For a little bit. And so like if I can stay away from that, I definitely want to.
So have you encountered like any issues when it comes to employment because you have your card? Drug
No.
tests or anything?
Drug tests? There's always stuff you can do for drug tests. And then now that the law is a little different, like I know it's not entirely legal federally, but if you look at a lot of workplace laws, it says that you're not allowed to have illegal drugs.
Oh.
And so if I have a prescription, that doesn't make it an illegal drug.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So there's kind of, there's leeway depending on where you are, but a bunch of people who smoke weed will tell you that if they were asked to drug test at a job, they could smoke and still go and pass it.
Oh.
Because there's synthetic piss out there and shit that you can buy.
I've heard of that, and I kind of want that job because maybe you get extra money. Do you get any backlash from like your kids' parents, friends, anything like that?
Not too much. I don't know. There's some people that I assume automatically think that I smoke. I don't outright be like, hey, I smoke weed, unless like I've known you for a while and I'm inviting your kid over or something like that. I'll definitely let you know. But it's not like I'm going to smoke in front of your kid either. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Just in case it comes up, or in case my kid tells you, or because my kid has been friends with your kid for years and it's time for you to know. You know what I mean? But I haven't really had any issue with that I know of. And well, of course, there could be people that are like, nah.
Always changes. So how did you approach this with your daughters? Because they know, right?
Yeah. Medicine. We just talk about everything as being medicine. So that's how they know it. That's how they're used to talking about it, everything.
Okay, so we're going to shift it a little bit, and I want to hear one of your most embarrassing stories. Long, short, doesn't matter.
Oh, God, the most embarrassing.
Any age.
I know I can't even think of, like, an embarrassing moment right now, though.
Okay, I have tons of them, so I don't know how you don't have.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I definitely was at my friend when I was younger, her house, and she was a gymnast, and I used to chill at her house all the time, and she had a brother, and she had a cousin that used to hang out all the time, too. And I would say the most embarrassed I ever felt in my life was when I was, like, trying to do some trick, maybe a cartwheel or some shit, and in the middle of it, I, like, farted.
Oh,
all
okay.
loud.
That's pretty.
Well, that's pretty embarrassing. And I remember feeling that embarrassing moment as a kid, being like, "Oh, I like that boy," and he just heard that, and that's.
That would be embarrassing for me now.
Yeah.
And I'm in my 30s.
I only sleep I only fart when I'm sleeping, and that's fine because I'm sleeping. Any other time, it's not all right.
Do you have a fun drunk story?
I have all kinds of fun drunk stories. I definitely have a time that I might have been smoking. Maybe that's part of why I was laughing, but I was so wasted when we decided to go get Mexican food at like 2 a.m. that while we were in there getting all our salsa and stuff for the whole meal, we were just laughing our asses off too. I have a bunch of pictures from that night too, and you can tell we're wasted. And there's like my friend ordering a carne asada burrito turned into us making Wookiee noises.
Okay.
From Star Wars.
Got it.
Like Chewbacca. I'm also...
So what place is open at 2 a.m.? Are we talking like Los Ventos or like that taco place that's 24 hours?
I think it was the taco shop. It's not open anymore. It used to be right there on 22nd in Wilmot.
Oh.
Next to what used to be Pearson's. I don't even know what's over there anymore. By the puppy place.
Okay.
That building that used to be Lucky Wishbone forever, and then now it's always something else.
Oh,
but at one point, it was a little Mexican food place.
That was a long time ago.
It was. I was like 21 maybe when that happened, or 20. So
would you consider yourself a party girl?
I used to be a party girl. I got pregnant when I was 23 with Emery though, so that kind of cut that out. And then when I got back into kind of partying a little bit, I had met a boyfriend and got into a serious relationship, and then that cut all of that out. So, and then I had another baby, and now here I am.
Right.
So I don't really party. No.
So back in the day, would you have considered yourself a good wingman? Like out with the girls and you would help hook them up? Or were you the whole antisocial, I'm just going to sit here and drink by myself?
I hung out with one girl, and I hung out with a bunch of guys, and I was a really good wingman for a bunch of guys.
I want to know a wingman story for a guy then, because that's different.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many people that I've just been like, hey, this is my friend.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't think of like a specific really good wingman story because I don't know. There's just so many back in the day.
So I know you mentioned earlier that you're going through a divorce, and I think it's awesome that you don't trash talk the situation for your girl's sake and just to avoid being toxic. So behind the scenes though, how are you handling that? How's everything going?
This year is a lot better than last year, and mostly just because at the beginning it was like such a shock for me, or not even, it wasn't even a shock for me, I guess, because I actually knew for a while, or I had a suspicion for a while before I found out for sure. So it wasn't so much a shock for me as like finally dealing with it. And then I definitely went through a phase of like, what did I do to cause this? And then realizing like how toxic my own relationship with myself had become at that point, or how
That makes
little
sense.
of a relationship I
Right.
had with myself. So realizing all of that really made it, I broke down, like, obviously very mentally my thoughts were kind of fucking everywhere, and I definitely wanted to be alone for a long time. And right in the middle of
The chaos.
right in the middle of the chaos, I was kind of like, okay, well, let me try some stuff out for a while. And I tried things out for a while, and it didn't work. And what really made everything fucking come full circle for me was I got in a car accident.
I do remember that.
And a bus hit me head on and totaled my car. And, like, I got out, luckily, with, like, barely, I had bruises and bumps, and that was it. And it could have been way worse. But that was, like, my last final thing that I felt like was mine, was that car.
Okay.
And so when I lost my car, I felt like I had literally lost everything to
Like
that point.
that was your rock bottom.
Mm-hmm. Because I was like, well, damn, I just had this marriage that obviously I wasn't good at, and, you know, a bunch of different things were going through my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how that would put you in a negative state.
It got me more in tune with, though, trying to be positive and learning and reading about people who, you know, have a lot more positivity in what they do for that. And so that's kind of what I go by now. Like, I've told you, I like to listen to books, and I always look for, like, different, you know, life skills or communication skills or just things like that I can listen to and learn that I wouldn't have ever done before. And now that, especially because I can listen to all these books and not have to read them, I read a lot more.
So your past experiences, does that allow you to try and think more positive instead of giving into the negative and letting it continue to spiral?
Yeah, because I feel like I learned a lot from the bad experiences too. Because especially when I realized, like, how, I don't know, basically I'm a people pleaser. I like to do a lot for people. And I got so much to the point where I was just doing for people. I wasn't doing anything for myself. And so when I really realized that, I definitely realized, like, I never want to be in that position again. You know what I mean? So it's something that I constantly think about now. Whereas before it was just, I kind of let myself go. And at least now in the back of my mind, I'm always like, okay, well, don't forget Kendra.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yes, you certainly have to keep time for yourself. So I want to know what it was like when you found out you were going to be a mom at 23. Like, where were you at in life?
Oh, bro.
Where that happened?
I was so a couple different things. I was working at a call center, and at that time I had a pretty steady fuck buddy. And that's all he was. I got really drunk. I was a party girl. I used to go out, and one of the nights that I decided to take someone home, I went home with them, I guess. So whatever. Okay. And then that just turned into like that was cool. What are you doing? You know what I mean? So it just continued on for a while. But when I was working at this call center, I got into a training class, and for like 6 weeks, the training, it was a really long training. And I don't know, like halfway through, or I don't know, 2 weeks into it, I started smelling fucking armpits. You don't understand. All everywhere. I started smelling armpits.
Sometimes it's a small training room, and
it was a big training room, and I smelled armpits. And that should have been my first thing. I didn't even.
Was that like on a hot
catch
summer day too? So it's
twice
as bad.
No, it was like not even hot summer day really then. I think I got pregnant in October or November.
Oh, okay.
So I smelled armpits. But in my training class, I also met this guy that I started talking to. And so I had pretty much stopped talking to my solid fuck buddy, because I was like, I'm kind of interested in this guy or whatever. And it was crazy because me and that guy, we talked for like all through that training. The last 2 weeks, so for about 4 weeks we talked. Last 2 weeks of training, he and I decided to go out on the weekend. And so I went out with him. We got really drunk, and I went and stayed at his house. And it was the first time we ever hung out.
That's brave.
And I woke up the next fucking morning puking. Could not stop. Terrible. And I did used to drink a lot. And so I definitely was like, nah, this is weird.
So you just brushed it off?
No.
You couldn't brush it off?
No. I knew it was weird. I never used to throw up when I drank.
Okay.
I could be hungover as fuck and I didn't throw up. So I was like, okay, well, what's going on? And so then I had to wake up dude and be like, I'm really sorry, you're gonna have to take me home. Like, and we didn't have training started at 3, so this is like 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, hey, can you take me home? And I go home and I'm throwing up the whole fucking time, and I call my I went and bought a pregnancy test, and I go back home. My dad calls me and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm really sick. And he goes, you're pregnant. And I was like, well, thanks, Dad. I'm in the middle of taking a test right now. Can I call you back? And he was like, okay. And literally I hung up the phone and I put my little pee on the little thing because I was going pee, and instantly it said I was pregnant. Damn. And then I called my dad back and was like, can I please come over? And I went over there and my mom and dad were there, and my dad's all, you're pregnant? And I was like, I am pregnant. And I knew. I was like, God damn it, dude. And then how awkward is that to be like, hey, boyfriend?
Right. This has been real great, but, you know
how I told you, like, I was definitely talking to someone else when we first started talking, and then we started getting kind of more serious? I'm fucking pregnant. And the crazy thing is that everybody was telling me that for weeks in that training. And I was like, nah, I'm sick.
But that guy dismissed it?
Because my dad got sick too. Every time I was around my dad and I felt nauseous, he would too. So I thought we had like a cold or some shit. Yeah, no, my dad just got sick all throughout pregnancy with me. So that was cool. And when I found out I was pregnant with my second daughter, it wasn't a total shock, but I was on birth control.
Really?
Yeah, I was on birth control the first time too.
Okay, define birth control. Like, you didn't miss a pill, or you're like, no, just take it next day.
The first time I was on the pill and I used a condom, and the condom broke during sex, and some fucking reason that pill didn't work either.
No way.
Yes. With Addison, I was on Depo. I was on the shot.
Really?
And I got pregnant because they put me on some pills that the side effects cancel out my birth control.
Antibiotics?
I wasn't on antibiotics. I was on, like, for head shit.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I had no idea that was something that we needed to even fucking worry about. And so that, my little shot baby came to me. So I was, like, surprised, but it wasn't nearly as bad. I was in a pretty serious relationship, so I don't know.
So what makes the father not be around for the first child? Just because it was a fuckboy?
As soon as I told him I was pregnant, he told me I ruined his life, and he moved to Texas.
Oh.
Yep. And when my daughter was born, I reached out to his mom. I was like, hey, do you know Corey? My name is Kendra. If your son lived in Tucson, let me know. And she wrote me back.
Like, guessing.
She wrote me back. I was pretty sure it was her because I found her name in an obituary.
Oh, okay.
Because around the same time I got pregnant, his brother died.
Yikes.
And so I found all that stuff. I found her. I wrote her. And it was funny because this chick really wrote me back and was like, okay, I'm reading here that you're saying my son is the father of your baby, but I see you're in another relationship. I'm like, yeah, bitch. Dudes like me. Like, I'm sorry I'm in a relationship and pregnant, but yes, your dude knocked me up.
And bounced.
But she goes, but my son says he doesn't know you.
Oh.
So I just sent her a picture of him and I together and said, is this your son? I said, because if so, that is the father of my baby. And she wrote me back and said, thank you for the picture. Let us know when the baby is born and we'll take tests or whatever. My kid will be 8 this year.
Really?
Yeah.
But it wasn't always just about the test. It was just about letting them know.
I sent pictures when she turned 1 year. I sent pictures and said, hey, just so you know, here's Emery. I've been trying to get a hold of you the last year. This will be the last time I contact you.
Okay. Was it through email, Facebook?
Facebook. She read my message, everything. She didn't respond.
Wow.
So
it just baffles me that, like, nobody would want to know
it's
their
so
grandchild.
Funny. Yeah, because, and I'm all, and your son's like, oh, I don't know her. And I send you a picture. So clearly this dude is a liar.
Right.
And your only response is like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because my kid has had a ancestry DNA test done. And she's like wicked Irish. And so even if he tried to deny it, she's linked to his family already.
That's funny.
On
Ancestry. At least you know it works though, right?
Yeah. That shit's crazy. I've learned about my grandpa had a sister he never knew about.
And
that
was
put up for adoption. It's legit. I also, because of that, that's how we found my mom's real dad. My mom never knew my mom was put up for adoption.
I need to check into that.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
For, my little situation.
No, yeah, because for real, the whole way that was found is when Emery took the test, she came up as a relative for these people. And the only way that they could be a relative for these people is through my mom. Okay. Because my dad didn't come up as a relative for them.
Got it.
And I haven't taken the test, but my sister did. So my sister and Emery came up. And then we were like, weird. So then my mom took it. And then my mom was like close relatives. So we ended up getting, and that's a whole weird story too, because we know my mom's real mom.
Okay.
And her story was a little different than what actually happened.
Always is.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is understandable. And basically what I ended up having, because I'm the one who wrote her and was like, hey, I want to let you know, like, my kid did a DNA test, and some people are writing us now telling us that they believe my mom is their sister. So, do you know so-and-so? And at first she said no, and then she ended up calling me back the next day, and you could tell she was just all broken down and stuff, and was like, actually I do. And kind of told me the situation, and sure as hell, my mom's dad is living in Tombstone. We haven't met him or anything yet,
Tombstone.
But so crazy.
That is a bit much. So back to the baby dad. Did the mom not wonder why he suddenly moved back to Texas from Tucson?
She thought he was moving back to Texas because her older son had died. So she thought he was moving back to come see her.
Okay. Got it.
All ridiculous.
So what motivates you to make Kendra time for this podcast, for running your girls to soccer, for juggling a relationship now, work? What motivates you to maintain all that?
Mostly to keep a easy mind. The podcast is a big deal to me because of former projects. I really learned I love talking to people. I always wanted to be on the radio when I was a kid, and that didn't happen, or I didn't even try to be on the radio, but I used to think it was cool. And so now being able to kind of do the same thing without actually being on the radio, that's really awesome. And my kids ask me about it all the time.
Really?
So even now, they're excited for me. They can be excited with anything else I couldn't really go into details with them about. They were still like, oh, so you're doing your show, or, whatever, and just happy about it. So really just being able to be here's what I can do and what I do as a person, as a mom, so that my kids can see it. That's probably the biggest motivation.
Right. So they can learn that they can acquire their tools, use their voice and passion, and start their own project.
Yeah. And when you want to do something, you can do it.
So what direction do you see this podcast going? What is your overall goal for it?
I want to get more people in touch with the fact that we all go through a lot of the same or similar situations. And maybe you and I, we don't have the exact same issues, but we talk about stuff and you're like, oh, this has happened to me before too. You know what I mean? And I think a lot more people are worried about being open or honest about stuff because they're worried about how they're going to be looked at by others. When in reality, a lot of those same people have gone through it, and it could be a bonding moment where you're like,
if you allow yourself to experience it that way.
But most people, it becomes something that you hold inside. You could be having issues with having sex with your partner and be afraid to talk to them about it, and it could never get resolved. Whereas they're afraid to talk about it too. So if both of you were talking about it, it would be a lot easier. So I just want to connect. I want to get everybody on the same page that we all go through a bunch of bullshit, and to not really have it be a stigma, whatever the situation is.
So just to bring this all to a close, what advice would you give somebody who is trying to start their own podcast?
Reach out to your friends. I think the biggest thing that helped me, well, first of all, I was already So I may be the wrong person to ask because I was already involved in a project before this.
Right.
And I think that honestly gave me the upper hand because I had somebody come to me directly and be like, hey, I think you need to do a podcast. And here's an invite. I have a whole thing. I will get you set up. And that's how I got onto all the platforms a lot easier.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that was harder for others, I think. And it is harder even when I look it up to like how to submit things and stuff. But I definitely think like reaching out like friends, being like, hey, this is what I want to do. Do you know anybody that can help me with this? Or, just saying, hey, this is what I want to do. Can you help me with this? I think it's best to bring your ideas to somebody who is not you. See what they think about it too, because if others are like, yeah, that's a good idea, then it's definitely something you should follow up on. And it gives you more of a reason to be like, oh yeah, it gives you're like, oh, you like my idea, and it gives you an extra little push where it's going to be like, ah. But I also think it's important to like go on social media, #podcast, take a look at what everybody else is doing and listen to them.
Yes, there are many, many styles of podcasts. Some you think that would fail and not be successful actually have like a really big following.
Yeah, because people are like, I really like that shit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I listen to them, listen to the different ways that people present stuff, listen to the different ways that people talk. It's also, if you're wanting to start your own podcast, a good place to start is with those people that run the podcast. Because you can get them interested in what you're doing. You can reach out and be like, hey, it's networking.
Right.
That's the best thing. So I hope you got to learn a lot about me, or at least some, enough to bring you back next week when we will be talking about what kind of standards we have when it comes to relationships, whether it be intimate or even family relationships. So I definitely hope you tune in again to Kendra After Dark. And I just got to say, honestly, this Newton soda is one of my favorite products. And like I said, this is the 10 milligrams. They actually even have a higher percentage or a higher dosage that's available. But I honestly have only ever gotten the 10 milligrams, and it completely relaxes me. No pain in my back. And I just feel like now I want to like chill out, watch some TV in my night, relax, go to sleep. Something that generally would be kind of hard for me because typically my back is all stiff, it's hurting, my nerve pain is there. So it's really nice to be able to sit down, drink this soda, and, after, honestly, I started feeling the effects of this within 10 minutes. So, 10 minutes later to have like some pain relief, that's really awesome. This is a product I will definitely be buying again. I did get it at the Prime Leaf. I know it's available other places. Again, it's Newton's original craft soda, and there's all different kinds of flavors. I got the black cherry. That's my favorite. Black cherry is freaking awesome. So thanks so much. Go to www.kendraafterdark.com. Make sure to follow us on social media and your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for tuning in, and you have a great night.
Well, Kendra, it's been real fun. Can't wait to listen to your podcast. I mean,
it has been real fun.
You're going to use music to fade in and fade out anyway, right?
Probably.
So, I don't need to do
I
that,
probably
right?
will, but I recorded you saying that anyway, so.